Throughout the history of the world, starvation and hunger has affected the human condition the most. Unlike other issues that the human condition has been able to develop and adapt to, hunger and starvation has been something that cannot be changed. What is hunger to you? This is a question that is asked by everyone unconsciously at every moment of your life. To the average North American teenager, it simply means a kind of craving for food, if you could so say. For example, an average teenager like you or me, 15-year-old, comes home from school, has already been fed breakfast and lunch, and dinner is about to get ready and prepared by his or her parents or guardians or siblings. And this teenager could just look into the fridge and find and eat something to satisfy this craving for food. However, to truly understand the word hunger, we need to look at hunger in an undeveloped or developing third world country. The true meaning of hunger and the concept behind it is hidden inside what is happening in those countries. My name is Wesley, and recently our amazingly incredible social teacher, Miss Lori Gale, gave us the pleasure of assigning us a task to research and introduce a topic that is affecting the world on a global scale. She decided to choose hunger for us as a topic. And through the course of last week, we've been researching about what hunger means to the world and how it affects the world. We found out that there are 4 basic things that every human being needs in the present day to live. Those 4 things are food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Now, the simple example to explain why food is the most important out of all 4 of these needs for human beings is, if you take a simple example, could you survive a month without clothing? Yes, that is very possible. If you live in a warm climate, clothing is not really needed. Could you survive a month without shelter? Yeah, if there were no natural disasters or hail or rain or hurricanes, yeah, probably. Could you survive a month without transportation? Yeah, that's why God made you 2 feet so you could walk around. But the human body can't survive 4 days without food. This makes us realize that global problems and hunger are connected. Problems arising in countries have affected the world globally. These countries need to work together to help each other out so that global problems and hunger can be solved. 25,000 people die of hunger each day. This is a large number compared to any other disease or famine or any other thing that's affected the human civilization. The consequences that are developed by this problem or this global issue is that the world population decreases and death rate can occur higher in some places than birth rates. Now, we realize that things that I've been talking to you about so far in this presentation are all about negatives, but there are positive that things are being done to solve this issue. Agricultural cooperatives established by the United States high-class corporations establish FAO, IFAD, WFP, and OIC. These are all funds that help countries in need of starvation and hunger. Recent projects, such as one started by the Henry Wisewood High School, such as Agents for Africa, has also tried to help out with the hunger and lack of money and funds for food for poor countries. We have also found out that there are problems associated with mass starvation. Now, this is where there is a total lack of food, and this is famine, the result of mass starvation. Famine can affect a whole country. For example, such as Somalia in the 1990s, when the natural disaster hit the country had no food for the first 2 to 3 months, and people started dying, getting disease, dying of the disease, and dying of hunger. But the UN decided to help out with the rebuilding of Somalia, which is great. Famine can also be regional, such as Ethiopia, parts of Ethiopia in the 1980s, when there were warlords conquering parts of the country and causing the people to get a cutoff from their food, which caused starvation. Now, we need to recognize that famine is not always caused by natural disasters. It can also be caused by warfare. How? A simple example is in Japan, when the 2 nuclear bombs dropped by the United States were dropped onto Japan during World War II. This affected widespread famine throughout Japan and killed most people. And if people didn't die from the radiation, they died from hunger. Communism and socialism also help out with hunger, as communism is an equality between everyone in the specific government. Communism also helps out with the equivalent spread of food throughout the country, so no one is actually hungry. Farming is affected by famine, as farming is the main producer of food for this famine. The North American country of Canada is not affected by hunger, or mostly not affected, as we still see homeless people walking through the streets, hungry, and not have the ability to get food. A boy named Saute, living in the sub-Saharan parts of Africa, is very different from what we understand, and that is why we need to look at it from a different perspective to understand the topic more thoroughly. He depends on food every day to live. He spends about 3 cents US, 3 cents US, that's 3 pennies on food each day, which is approximately the amount of price that is 100 grains of rice in Canada. You can buy 100 grains of rice. That's barely a mouthful. While an average child in North America consumes about $20, and that's considering that it's a base amount where no fast food is bought and the base vegetables and meats required for a human being to survive is used. And $20 is roughly enough to buy 20 million grains of rice. Who benefits from starvation and hunger? No one does. It's a global issue that's been thriving throughout the world since civilization started. No one benefits and everyone is affected. This is related to sustainable prosperity, because sustainable prosperity is where one country has an effect, is affected by everything that has to do with its economy. And if sustainable prosperity could be achieved through this, then the country must not be hungry for the basis. Now, if we do good and solve this global issue of hunger, we might be able to create the condition in which it is possible for every country in the world to be able to have sustainable prosperity.